Hey everyone, welcome to the That's Allowed podcast. I'm your hostess, Dr. Audrienne McKeon, and today we're here with Jennifer Mason. Jennifer, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Dr. Adrian, I'm Gen X with a J because I'm Gen and Gen X because I'm 52, except on Tinder where I'm 37. And I'm a licensed acupuncturist, and I kind of accidentally became a stand-up comedian when I turned 50. And now I just love it so much. I love what comedy does for people. So I'm kind of like a comedy missionary going out and trying to convert people.
Fantastic. Let's delve a little bit deeper into that. So, how does one accidentally, become a comedian?
Well, I got unexpectedly divorced in my mid 40s. It was a complete surprise to me. And when I got out of it, I realized I had no hobbies and I'd lost my voice along the way, like you do. Um, and then as I was trying to figure out how to do business, I had no voice and I was extremely shy. So I put myself into Toastmasters, improv to try to find my voice. And it was terrifying. I think my fingernails kind of grew, my toenails grew into the stage during improv. But then right before I turned 50, I had this vision of myself doing stand up on my 50th birthday. And I walked into a comedy club and I took a class and they said, "Why are you here?" Oh, bucket list. Because I look like somebody's mom, right? And I don't know if I'd ever held a microphone before, but then I found out that it's terrifying, but when your body feels like it's going to die and it doesn't, it's super liberating and everything else is easy.
That is so true. You said, unexpectedly divorced. I wonder if it's better to be unexpectedly divorced or expectedly divorced. I don't know which is worse, honestly.
I guess that's true, right? Yeah. So maybe is there a happy answer there? I'm not sure.
I don't know. So let's jump into what is usually my first question, which is what story is the world not getting?
Oh, so many stories. I think that the story that I like, that I think is the heart of my comedy, is that for a lot of women, we think that 50s is kind of when we all shut down. Like, oh, we had a good run, 20s were great, the 30s we found ourselves, and now it's time to kind of shutter up and wait for death. That's kind of what I thought. I raised my kids and now I'm like the butterfly. I do not travel. I do not have hobbies. Thank God I got out of that. What I'm finding is that we also think that menopause is when we go crazy. And I think that's actually when sanity comes in, because I think that estrogen and progesterone are like brainwashing hormones that make us think, oh, it's okay. He didn't, I really I feel at peace when I'm able to help my family and make all the magic happen for them for all the holidays. And then at menopause, when those hormones recede, we become just like everybody else. And all of a sudden, it's like, I need to take care of myself so I can survive. And I think that's actually when women get super funny
Yeah, I think so too.
because we don't care what other people think anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You have given all your fucks by that time, and there are no left to give. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your journey through the year 2020.
uh, I know it's a bit that others have done, but yeah, I really thought that that COVID was my fault. Because, well, because I do a little energy medicine, I do some
Hmm.
Reiki, some theta healing, and so we manifest things. And around the end of 2019, I was super overscheduled. Um, and I was just wishing that we had more time to sleep in, spend time with the kids, do jigsaw puzzles, and bam, 2020, COVID
Mm.
happened. So what I've learned is I need to be more specific in my manifesting. But then, and of course, like everybody, that was a scary time. Who knew? You just felt like death was all around you. We were living through the Black Plague, but it turned out to be a great year for me. And And so now I'm engaged. We just bought a house. My acupuncture business, which I didn't want to do in person because I work out of my house. So I shut that down. But then I started my online comedy coaching business and I switched all of my coaching and shows online. I have the Sofa King Funny show because it's so fucking funny. And and then what I found out is that when comedy's online, then more people can come. They don't have to park. They don't have to find babysitters.
Yep.
People from different time zones could show up. So now I have friends and fans and fellow comics on the East Coast, even in London, and it just changed everything.
Do you think it's too soon for jokes about 2020?
Oh no! I mean, I don't know about you, but we've been doing it all year. I have a few
Yeah.
COVID sets.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to hear one?
Hell yeah.
So, well, okay, I'm going to get a little serious here because I have experienced, I tested positive for one of the COVID symptoms that not a lot of people are talking about, but it's the one where your clothes don't fit anymore. And Audrey, and I don't know what to do because I've ordered new clothes online and they don't fit either. Because I just feel medium. I don't want to choose the extra large, and I just want the clothes that lie to me. I want the labels that say small enough, or now with room for sourdough, right?
So good. So good. So why is humor so important?
Mm, right. Um, it's something that I think about a lot because I'm a licensed acupuncturist. It took me 4 years and quite a lot of student debt to get there, uh,
Mm,
because I wanted to be able to change people's health and lives for the better. And now I'm a comedy coach. So that seems super frivolous and maybe not very serious, but I really think, especially in the year that we've had, humor is so important. It's what we needed most of all.
mhm.
It's a release valve because, my slogan is turn bad days into good jokes. So we turned a bad year into a lot of good jokes.
Yep.
And you kind of, we don't make jokes about good times. Nobody wants to hear about the dinners that don't burn or the dates that went well. We want to
Mhm.
hear about the disasters.
Yep.
And so, and then when you use your bad times as comedy, and it then, I like to say it makes pain your bitch because it works for you.
Absolutely.
And now my embarrassing stories get me laughs, and then as a comic, I look for more chances to be embarrassed. I'm I'm shopping, I'm shopping for the chance to make a fool of myself because that's going to be good comedy.
That's so great.
But
That's so
it's also
great.
super connecting, right? I mean, just when we laugh together, it's the endorphins, the oxytocin, and that's, I think that's what we've been missing so much this year, is the connection. So really, it was such a gift to be able to do the Zoom shows because I could see people's faces, we could tell stories, we could laugh. I saw their cats and their dogs.
Yeah, I just love that so much that you're looking for opportunities to, make a fool of yourself now. I feel like that is the thing that would change the lives of so many people if they just flip the switch on that. I think being in theater, from a young age really like just breeds that out of you, like that fear of like, oh, I'm going to look stupid. Like, yeah, and it's going to make people laugh and that's great.
I have the dream of learning pole dancing, and I think it's because there's a slight chance I'll be good at it, but probably not because I have abs of jello. So I think I'm going to fall on my ass, and I hope somebody's there to take a video because that's going to be comedy gold.
Uh-huh.
But
You'll have to hire someone just to come and, like, record the whole thing for you. Absolutely.
can you get a close up?
Just make it like a whole TikTok series, you know?
Yeah, I'll have to hire one of my teenagers.
Mhm.
As an acupuncturist, when a lot of my patients suffered from anxiety, depression, insomnia, menopause, and so we would do the needles and the herbs, and they help. But really, it was their minds that were keeping them up. And so we used to
Yeah.
play truth or dare, but really it's just dare. What could you choose that's a little bit scary?
Hmm.
Because when you choose something that's scary, then it builds that courage muscle. I didn't do theater as a kid, so this was kind of new to me. Um,
Yeah.
but then I would just see, yeah, when you choose to do something optional that's scary, then you build your courage muscles. And then the other little things like answering the phone or saying no to your mother-in-law become a lot easier.
Yeah. I still have trouble with that one, but I think, yeah, it's a resiliency muscle that you have to kind of keep in shape. And I do really think that everything you want is on the other side of your fear. So when you find fear, that's like a big neon signpost that's like this way to cool stuff because you're scared because you care. That means it's something that matters to you. So going in that direction, good stuff is on the other side of, like you said, feeling that feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And then wait, I didn't die. I'm
It's
still
amazing,
here.
isn't it? That yeah, I'll never forget the first time that I got up to do a set, and yeah, my heart was going so fast, and it feels like you're jumping out of the airplane, but it's really only 3 or 5 minutes, depending on how generous the club is, and then this wave of euphoria.
Yeah, that's
But I also
awesome.
think that especially in this year, that the fear what I tell myself and what I tell my students before they do a show is that I get the fear too, because I'm like, oh, even though I know my jokes and I love doing this and I know I'm going to survive, but I still, before I get up there, I'm a little, and then I think how lucky I am to have something this exciting, because fear is the flip side of excitement, right? It's,
Yeah. So, have you ever just absolutely bombed? Just like crickets response?
um, I think there's something about my, maybe because I am an unexpected comic. I think they always, nobody's really rude to me. Uh,
They're kind.
but I think there are some jokes like I don't tell my menopause jokes unless I think the crowd is going to be at least a half female.
Yeah.
But so sometimes, yeah, there's it doesn't go as well. I was really grateful the first time that I bombed, because then I'm like, okay, that's it. It was kind of like, hitting the bottom of the swimming pool. Okay, I did that and I
Yep.
survived.
Yep. And now you know where the bottom is.
Just push right back up and bounce up.
Absolutely. So, what do you think blocks people from telling their funny stories?
I think there's a few things, right? One, first of all, I think everybody's funny, but we're funny when we're comfortable with our friends.
Yeah.
So we get shy when we're with people who don't know us, and then we get really wooden, and,
Hmm.
and then we're not funny. So it's that connection, right?
Yeah. That comfort.
And the other thing is that what I find is that people want to tell stories of their successes. I climbed Mount Everest. It was life changing. That's amazing. That's not funny unless you had terrible diarrhea, right? But we don't want to look bad in front of strangers. But that's the secret, right? Because everybody messes up. So
Yeah.
that's one of the first things that you'll notice comics do, is that we make fun of ourselves, and then everyone's like, okay, we're on the same page.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's so much comedy gold in making mistakes, making terrible choices, going out with the wrong people, all of that stuff. That's where the gold is. Absolutely.
Bad choices make good stand up.
Yeah, I remember back in my 20s, I was in a theater class, and one of the assignments was what he called a wish fulfillment. So we were supposed to do something that we had always wanted to do, like, fulfill a wish for ourselves, whatever way we could kind of manage it. So, for example, he used as his example that he always wanted to drive like a Jaguar. So he got all dressed up and went to the Jaguar dealership and like convinced this guy that he was going to buy this Jaguar. So he let him take it for a spin. Of course, he didn't buy the Jaguar because he couldn't afford it, but he got that experience. And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, what would my, wish fulfillment be? And I was having such a hard time coming up with something. I was like, what do I really, want? Like, what is my dream other than like, being a Hollywood star, which like, how do I pull that off? Right. But then I was like out dancing one night with this guy that I barely knew. And I was like, hey, I know what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be a go-go dancer. I've always wanted to be that girl, like up on the stage, like dancing. And so I go to the DJ and I was like, hey, I'd like to audition, to be a go-go dancer. And he's like, we don't really have go-go dancers. And I'm like, I'd like to audition anyway. He's like, sure, uh, go ahead. So there was this little sort of podium, area. So I get up on this podium, and I'm like doing my dance, feeling so sexy, thinking I'm looking so hot and so fine and everything. And I get down and, I come back over to the DJ and I'm like, so what do you think? And he's like, I think you like to dance.
Oh.
And I looked around and my date had left the
Oh
building.
no.
That's how bad it was.
Oh.
But at the same time, it really did feel like a wish fulfillment for me because while I was up there, I had this experience of feeling like, oh, all eyes are on me. I am the star of the show, and I felt so great. And so I just decided to ignore all of the feedback. And I was like, that was my shining moment. I was, for a moment, a go-go dancer.
Right. Um, when I do Zumba, in my head, I look just like the teacher. And
Mm,
that's part of why I enjoy it so much. But not everybody has to like it, right? I feel so sad for people who don't sing because other people don't like their singing. And I do think that you can change that because you train the ears, not the voice. But it's singing and dancing is part of being joyful.
yeah.
And so I'm glad you did that, but I'm sorry that happened to you because
It's okay. It probably was for the best.
it reminds me of that's actually one of the joke types that's a fun joke type. Do you know? You brag about something that's not true, like I was a go-go dancer, and then you walk it back. Okay, I danced once, and then the DJ's like, go, go.
Get out of here. Right. I actually just walked up onto the stage and all the other dancers looked at me like, who invited her? Which I
Oh.
could, totally see myself doing.
Well, in comedy, I know that not everybody likes my jokes. I mean, quite a few people do, but for me, I think that's fine because I tell my students that, there are many famous comedians, really famous, great comedians, and they don't make me laugh.
Mhm.
But that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they're not great. It just means
Right.
they're not great for me. So you can't please everybody.
No, you cannot. And the harder you try, the fewer people you please, yourself definitely included. So yeah, you gotta please yourself. One thing I've noticed over the years, I used to be very self-deprecating in my humor. It was all about like, pointing out all my foibles and flaws and like very much like opening the kimono of like, look, here's my shame. um Over the years, I have leaned more towards like funny exaggeration of like my awesomeness.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, so instead of saying like, if I trip, instead of being like, yes, I am, the clumsiest, I will say something like, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, I passed with honors in, finishing school. Carried 10 books on my head before tripping and having them all fall. So I think there's something to recognizing when all of your humor is making fun of yourself and self-deprecating and playing with different ways where you can be funny without being mean to yourself or to other people. Because I really don't think that meanness is necessary for comedy.
I totally agree. Of course, I think not so distant past, comedy was a lot about punching down
Yep.
to ethnic groups, women, take my wife, please, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not only frowned upon, it's just not funny or popular.
Mm-hmm.
And but there is, you can over self-deprecate. There are some comics and they make fun of themselves so much, and I kind of want to go over and give them a hug and offer them a number of my therapist, you know.
Absolutely.
And so, but that's the thing too, right? If people feel sorry for you, then that's not funny either.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that some of the best comedy is just playing. It's playing.
Yeah.
um, what's so funny about life? um, Comics called bullshit on the world because there's so many little things that we do and we don't know why. And so I don't think that you always have to be the butt of the joke. Sometimes it's society or um, just expectations. I love making fun of misunderstandings.
Yeah. That's one of the best. In fact, that reminds me of a little story.
Oh, please.
So this is another one of my favorite funny stories to tell. So when I was in France, I was I had a crush, let us say, on this fellow who was of Moroccan origin. And he invited me to this study group. And so there was all these, like cool French people in there. And so I walk in and everybody, gives you the three cheek kisses. It's just like standard. And one of the guys says to me, I hope you don't mind that I kissed you. And I misunderstood the verb baiser in French. Like un baiser means a kiss. And so I said, "Oh non non, j'aime bien que tu me baises," thinking I was saying, "No, I love it when you kiss me." But what I actually said was, "No, I love it when you fuck me." Um,
Oh.
in like the most vulgar possible way, right? And the room went silent, right? And he said very kindly, "I don't think you mean to say what you just said." And I said, "Oh, no, I definitely meant it. Americans are so ridiculously prude about those things. I don't understand why. I don't know why we don't fuck each other every time we see each other. That's just natural, right? It's just, what bodies want to do. Like, why don't we just fuck each other?" And everybody's looking at me like, what is she saying? Somebody stop her. So this guy who had brought me sort of like pulled me aside and was like, "Okay, I think I need to explain something to you." So he explained to me what I had just actually said and what he was pretty sure I meant to say. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much what I meant. But okay, I'm gonna go." And like now, if I had done that now, oh my gosh, I would have laughed my butt off and like just totally owned it. But in my 20s, I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna slink my tail home." So that's one of my favorite misunderstanding stories. But I think, especially when you spend a lot of time in a different culture, you start to recognize that like it is so easy to misunderstand somebody's intentions and it can make for some great comedy, definitely.
Wow, that's amazing. um
True story.
and I think it's, but what I love about that story is even as a listener, you can just feel it. Like I can feel in my body being a 20-year-old going, I, and I totally, I can just, I feel that in my body. I'm gonna leave now.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah, it's hmm.
So, how has this experience changed you?
Oh, so many ways. So I'm like trying to bring it back. So I went, and I'm sorry, I don't know why.
That's all right.
When I started comedy, I really just did it to be braver. And I really thought it was going to be a one-time thing that I could kind of check off my list and be like, yeah, Jennifer, you did it. And when when you get a laugh from a crowd and they love you, oh, I haven't done a lot of drugs, but I can see why people do, because I guess I'm lucky that the drug that I do is comedy.
Mhm.
So that is one thing, is that I unexpectedly enjoyed it, and that now I know all these comedians, and it's amazing. It's amazing to hang out with funny people, and I love that so much. The other thing is that I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a really shy person. I'm an introvert, um, and my sixth grade nickname was the mute, because I could not speak for the life of me. I couldn't do an oral report. I did all the research. I did all my homework. I could not raise my hand, and I could not do discussion classes. So having done stand up, now I know how to fake being cool with talking. But I like to say that I got over my microphone allergy.
Mhm.
And so now I have a voice, and I do workshops, and I can coach, I do talks, and it's great. And so because my life just expanded and became more fun and more light and funny. Life is just so funny. We just laugh all the time now, because if something's annoying, it's like, oh, good, how can I use that, right? When I'm talking to somebody, or I'm in an uncomfortable situation, at first I have this the regular reaction, but then I'm like, oh, how can I use this? How can I mimic that voice that's
Yeah.
asking me to renew my auto warranty? How can I throw this in somewhere? And now I just want to bring that to everybody. So I love needling people as an acupuncturist, but even more so, I love seeing them explore their lives and start, when we just start talking about what's your flaws, what do you struggle with? And they're like, my aging parents. And like, let's make some jokes. And watching how much fun they have talking about their problems. It's that's addictive to me. So that's, yeah, I have become a comedy converter.
So, what would you say is your main message or takeaway from the people listening today?
My main takeaway, number one, is not only are women funny, but we get funnier as we age. And
Mhm.
if you're thinking comedy's not for you because it's intimidating and you don't see a lot of comedians that look like you, let's change that.
Here,
Uh,
here.
and number two, you don't have to be a comedian to enjoy being funny. It really makes everything better. I have one of my past students is a divorced mom, and she did a great set about her grandmother with amazing accents. But what she told me was her biggest takeaway was when she had a one of those predictable, frustrating encounters with her ex about vacation. And usually it would send her into a kind of depression tailspin. But now she said, I'm going to write a set about it. And it just brought her back out. And that made me so happy. Maybe it's the healthcare side, but that
Yeah.
comedy can help you. And, if taken daily, it's a great anti-anxiety mood mood activator.
Fantastic. So, what I'd like to do now is to take you through this little exercise that, of course, I love to do with folks. So, I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. Get nice and comfy. Take in a nice deep breath. And as you breathe in, I want you to see colored light coming into your body. And then you can tell me what color it is.
It's purple.
Yay! Okay, try it again.
Should it change color?
Oh, not necessarily. You tell me if it does, though.
Oh, it's maybe green now.
No, see, sometimes it shifts. So sneaky. All right. And I want you to see that colored light kind of creating a tail that goes down into the core of the earth. And it's just really rooting you in connection with everything that is. And then I want you to see that light come up out the top of your head and up into the sky. So now you're connected with stuff you don't even know about, mysteries beyond your imagination. And I'm going to wave my magic wand over here. And now everything that you deeply desire has just come to pass. So you now, in this moment, are living your absolute ideal life. And I want you to kind of look around in your imagination and see that life. What's the first thing you see?
A beautiful house and garden.
Tell me about it.
It has a lush backyard, shade structures, a meditation garden, and a water structure.
A water feature. So is this sort of a messy English style garden where everything's kind of growing on everything else, or is it very structured and French?
Um, it's a little bit French and a little bit maybe Spanish because I live in San Diego, so things are kind of
Nice.
dry resistant.
Excellent. What is the house made of?
We just bought a house. It needs a lot of work. So I guess I'm seeing the house that we bought just in a much better condition.
Okay, lovely. So what is it made of?
It has terracotta roof and
Hmm,
it's a wooden on the outside.
nice. So I want you to go to a spot. Maybe it's inside the house, maybe it's outside, maybe it's someplace else entirely that really feels like your little happy place. Where is it?
That is the meditation spot in the garden.
Beautiful. So I want you, is there like a bench here? Someplace to sit?
I think there's a bench and a cushion.
Okay. So I want you to have a seat there and kind of feel that under your bottom. And I want you to take off your shoes if you're wearing them and kind of stick your feet onto the ground and feel that connection. And tell me how that feels.
Hmm. It's warm and welcoming.
Hmm. And while you're sitting here, something unexpectedly delightful occurs. What is it?
I think a butterfly comes to visit.
Beautiful. But this is no ordinary butterfly. This butterfly has colors that you have never seen before on a butterfly. This is a kind of magical butterfly that really takes you out of the everyday world for a moment and reminds you that anything is possible. And I want you to feel what it feels like when that butterfly actually lands on you. What do you smell?
Lavender and jasmine.
Beautiful. Two of my favorites. So I want you to take a nice deep breath of that beautiful jasmine and lavender scent. And you can hear the sort of gentle water feature sound in the background. And then I want you to imagine for a moment that this butterfly has actually brought you a message that you are sort of psychically receiving now. What is that message?
Hmm. It's it's that my work is healing and that joy is healing.
Absolutely. And as if to illustrate that, you hear laughter from inside. And I want you to walk inside and see that there's a gathering here of people that you have been working with. And now that we're in an ideal world and there is no COVID, they have come to tell you how much you've impacted their lives. And they just want to share with you how much humor has changed them and how much you're empowering them to be brave and tell their stories. has changed them. And you can see in their eyes how sincere they are. I want you to just bask in that for a moment. And then you get some news that you have an opportunity that you just never thought would really happen. What is it?
I'm invited to do a TED Talk.
Absolutely, you are. So, you're going to have this TED Talk. You're so excited. How are you going to celebrate?
I don't know if I would celebrate. I guess I would prepare. Maybe.
Let's say you have plenty of time to prepare.
Okay.
So, how are you going to just remind yourself that you deserve celebration every once in a while?
I feel like the shows that I do are celebration.
Beautiful. So, maybe you plan a show to celebrate. You've got an audience right here, right? So, maybe you just, grab some snacks, hand out some beverages, and get a show going on. And I want you to hear the laughter just ringing and ringing and ringing in the room. See them doing that thing where they're laughing so hard they can hardly catch their breath. How does that feel?
That's great.
All right, open your eyes, please. So, what was your favorite part of that?
I love performing and watching people laugh, but really, I really love watching other people who have taken comedy and run with it in whatever way that is. And
Yeah.
not all of them are comedians. Some of them they laugh with their family more, or they relaxed enough to be successful at dating, um, or they they took the confidence they had on stage and actually went into acting. So I I have had a few of these conversations in real life recently, and every time it's like, oh, uh, it's very gratifying, and it makes me feel like I'm on the right path.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that is so wonderful. I wonder if you would be willing to do part of a set for us today.
Oh, let's see. What's your favorite topic?
Well, since you rarely do get to do your menopause jokes, right? Because you're worried about your audience, let's hear it.
Do you have a more than half female audience?
I'm guessing that I do.
Well, um, okay. Well,
I
yeah,
put you on the spot. I apologize.
I am 52, except on Tinder where I'm 37. And I don't really worry about it that much because I've got those Asian Dorian Gray genes, so I can hold on to youthfulness a little longer. But I will say that I have a lot of 50 Shades of Gray action in my life, but they're mostly in my roots. Uh, and as an acupuncturist, a lot of my patients would come in and they were worried about turning 50. And they would say, Jennifer, I don't want to be sweaty and hungry and bitchy. And I would just hold their hand and say, sweetie, it is so worth it. because I have never felt more powerful in my life. And the world needs more powerful women, right? That's why I'm sure that the next superhero movie is going to be about a menopausal woman.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the Flash, she'll be the hot Flash. And I don't know what her costume's going to look like, but I know it's going to be moisture wicking with a lot of pockets. And her secret ability is invisibility to men. And slapping the shit out of anybody who asks her to sign up for one more volunteer committee.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today. So, if the people at home are inspired to want to get a little braver and try something new, how can they get in touch with you to try one of your comedy workshops?
Oh, Audrey, what a beautiful question. Uh, if they go to genxcomedy.com, they could sign up for a stand up for scaredy cats workshop, which is just for people who have an inkling of wanting to find out where the funny is in their life. And it's super interactive. It's only 45 minutes. And we talk about how to look at their life and their struggles, and we laugh a lot, and we come up with what their signature funny would be. And I teach them 3 joke types, and it's a great start.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, is there any other way to find you or follow you or get a hold of you?
I'm on Instagram, Gen X Comedy, or Facebook. And you're welcome to come see the next So Fucking Funny show. It's going to be on July 9th, and we have 4 brand new comedians as well as 4 professional comedians. So best of both worlds. It's going to be a great show.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jen.
Thank you.